Of the 60 spaces required, 3 spaces shall be provided in the proposed development. 13 spaces shall be credited due to the existing commercial floor area. And the applicant submit and apply an approved request for the maximum available parking payment in lieu at 30% of the proposed required spaces, such that 14 spaces make payment in lieu, 30 spaces accepted, 3 spaces provided, and 13 spaces credited, sufficiently covering the total 60 spaces required. Contingent that the parking exception granted by the Planning Commission shall only apply if the submitted request for the parking payment in lieu is approved following appropriate approval procedures, and shall only be applied upon approval of the proposed Level 2 site plan application number 22-0016 for the Jailhouse Cafe expansion. The land use authority denial of the parking payment in lieu request or site plan application shall terminate the parking exception granted by the planning resolution number 10-2022.
Thank you. So big item. I'm actually glad we have another couple weeks for folks to look
kind
this
of look
over.
through.
And I'll be sure to, see if we can make sure other people in the area don't have input on it as well. I know it's not a public hearing, but it is still an exception to our underlying code, which I think it's always good to engage folks on whenever possible, particularly on that spot where there is very little parking. I will say, of all the places in downtown, that's the place I look forward to trying to find a parking spot least, is like that corner by Jailhouse Cafe and Trailhead and Love Muffin and exactly.
Normally walk
and the
blocks.
food truck park.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Just because I haven't paid attention, where's the nearest handicap parking?
I think there is some right there in front of the laundromat.
Is there?
I think so. I
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
have to pay attention.
I actually
because
don't know
I'm not
that.
actually sure there is.
I just,
So the site plans
Question.
does not have a detail on
ADA accessibility.
ADA accessibility right now,
Okay.
But that would be a requirement for a building permit to be issued, so.
Just because that went out, and what were the numbers again? It was 60 is what's required, they have 13 already,
Yeah, so they're
30%.
asking for an exception of 30 parking
of
spaces.
30 parking spaces?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
26. Is there a single parking space missing in there? Is 13, 13, and 3?
Because they already have 13 established.
Yeah,
And then they're proposing to have 3 more provided. And then there's 13 spaces that are credited because of them being in the C3 zone. And so they're asking for an exception. And then they also have the 30% payment in lieu as well.
okay. I think I got that.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, probably. There's not like one missing.
so to clarify, just for everyone in the public listening or watching or who might want to engage, we are not considering the site plan itself as far as like the building layout, the square footage, things like that. It's just the parking exception that would be needed to provide that much square footage in the new location.
Yes, we aren't,
They're clearly, intermingled, but
yes.
yeah.
But we are not approving the development at this time, just whether or not they can proceed with what they're proposing to do as far as getting the exception for the parking.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
Straightforward enough.
Yep. So definitely give some thought,
Right. Go over there.
talk to constituents, see what people think. I think it's
People in
really
the
important
neighborhood
for this.
aware? Is this been made public, or no, this wouldn't be public?
This would not have been something that would have been like a posted notice in the area. It's public in our agendas, but I'll make sure. I today actually notified one of the adjacent property owners. So hopefully people will provide their input on this as well. my first reaction is that is a lot of parking to take away for the square footage at that specific location. I think there are other places downtown that are a little better suited to handle that, but this is like one of the big, this particularly with the laundromat, people trying to come in and out all the time. So if the applicant wants to address that, that would be great. And you know, why it would be inappropriate. And we know that our parking requirements sometimes seem onerous for certain locations, but I think this unfortunately is one of those where like maybe it actually does make sense here, on that particular corner. I think it's great they're looking to build housing for employees and staff, but just making that work. Cool.
Yeah, that's 2 parking spaces for whoever lives there.
What?
And that's 2 parking spaces for whoever lives there.
It has 4 residential
yeah.
spaces required,
Yeah.
Yep.
is what it says.
It's a complicated location for flooding.
Yeah, I think that's
That's a whole other
addressed in
thing.
here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we just saw.
This artist's rendering is pretty accurate.
I know, right? Look, it's our city. Okay, that's great. Thank you for the intro. Hopefully that'll give folks some time to really look into things, talk to people, and we can have a really useful discussion at our next meeting now that the item has been continued. Next, future agenda items, other than this.
There are none right now.
Cool.
so.
All right.
Is that our meeting?
We have some technical issues.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We weren't set up on the back end of YouTube to stream properly,
Okay.
but it was saying on my end that everything was streaming properly, and I'm getting our minutes person freaking out, like, I can't access anything.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. So
Sorry, Eve.
sure now. That's why I kind of like, whoo.
Okay, well, I'm glad this was a sort of a nothing burger meeting then.
Yeah.
But it's nice to get this introduced and out
Yes.
there, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be sure to, I might just post something on Facebook about it. If people are interested, that's always useful. Sort of useful. Facebook is sort of useful. It goes in that mid-ground. One quick question that I received prior to the meeting was just asking for some clarification on what requirements might be to post for candidates in the county elections and the state and national elections this year to post political yard signs in their yards. The clarification is that the city no longer has a requirement to get a permit for candidates. So like last year in the city elections, city candidates were required to come in, pay for a sign permit of $12 or something, and just make sure they had that on file before handing out yard signs to supporters. That requirement is not in place anymore. So there are no sign permit requirements for candidates in Grand County or Moab City.
That is correct.
Okay, verified by Jessica.
Assistant planner for the city.
Great. And that's all. So I will adjourn this meeting of the Moab City Planning Commission at 6:20 p.m. Thanks for being here, folks.
Thank you.
Thanks for the intro.